Thank you, everyone. So before I get started, I just want to thank a few people. First of all, the Chamber Board, of course, and Christine Weber and her staff as well. Also want to thank the school board and the administration for hosting us here today as well. And of course, all of our great sponsors who are doing such tremendous work inside the city and in Lake County overall. And I want to, first of all, recognize my city council members with whom we will be working together on all the great things you're going to hear about today. We appreciate the support that they give to our entire administrative staff. So I could ask them to stand. We have our council president, Janet Dowling, our council vice president, Ray Kirchner, our councilman at large, Brian Cook, our ward councilman, John Krieger, Sean Blake, Matt Donovan, and Chuck Pinkerman. We'll give them a hand. I also want to recognize my staff who's here, and I'm just going to ask them to stand up. So we have directors from the city. We have so many of our safety service providers here. We have members, leadership in our city unions, both in the safety and service departments. So if I could just ask you guys to all stand up together and be recognized. And finally, I, of course, have to recognize my lovely wife, Beverly, and my daughter, Sophia, and my brother, Bob, is here with us as well today. He's lovely, too, but, you know, brothers don't really do that kind of thing. So, as you all know, this year marks the 250th anniversary of our nation's birth, the semi-sesquicentennial, so say that a few times. When we think about that Independence Day almost 250 years ago, we first remember it as the day the Continental Congress signed the Declaration of Independence. That simple act wasn't just the mechanism for a name change on the world map. It was the start of a movement that, as the author of the Declaration, Thomas Jefferson, put it, would inspire all peoples living under the burden of oppression and ignorance. It was about free people carving out their own destiny in the places where they lived, based on their abilities and effort, not constrained by government or their station in life. That sentiment later came to be known as the spirit of '76 and was best captured in the famous painting that you see up there on the monitor by Clevelander Archibald Willard that he painted for the centennial celebration in 1876. In his later writings, Thomas Jefferson commented on what he thought was required to maintain the spirit of '76. He reiterated the basic principles of equality, the rights of man, and limited government, but also stressed that the American experiment was a work in progress. His message was that the American spirit must be renewed by future generations in order to be sustained. So as we celebrate our 250th birth as a nation, it's my sincere hope as an American that this celebration renews the spirit of patriotism among us all. But as a city, remembering the spirit of '76 can inspire our actions in 2026 and beyond to renew our commitment to our common community aspirations, to better allow for the pursuit of happiness that Mr. Jefferson wrote of. Our commitment to assure a safe environment for our residents to pursue their higher aspirations requires a constant renewal of effort, resources, and creativity. We are seeing positive results from a combination of those three things by our police department. And I'm going to show you a few stats here that I think we're particularly proud of going forward. You can see that from 24 into 25, our criminal offenses were down 12%, our thefts were down 25%. Adult arrests were down 7%, OVIs were down 20%, total traffic accidents were down 10%, and total injury accidents were down 18%. This last statistic up there is one that we added. It shows that there were just 76 reported violent crimes in our city in 2025. That's just 1.6 per capita. And to give you a little bit of context to that, the national average is 3.6, and then to compare it to one of our neighbors, it's 15.6 per capita in the city of Cleveland. And I don't put that stat up there to, disparage the city of Cleveland in any way, just to show that if you live in our city, you're 15 times less likely to be the victim of a violent crime, and all that credit goes to our safety forces that ensure those credible statistics every year. That work moves forward because of the targeted efforts by our road units, who continue to practice aggressive enforcement in known crime areas and high traffic areas. They also place special focus where it's needed. Over the last year, they placed an extra emphasis on those who had passed school buses on their morning routes. And this past year, they also began a new detail called Move Over Mondays, which enforced vehicles that were not abiding by Ohio's Move Over law. Our Detective Bureau investigated nearly 300 cases last year, and they used some of our most advanced technology for computer, cell phone, and video forensics. And they share even more advanced software applications as part of some of the special task forces that we are a part of. One of our detectives is part of the U.S. Marshals Northern Ohio Violent Fugitive Task Force, and in 2025, they tracked down and apprehended 67 violent wanted felons, 13 of those which originated in our city of Mentor. Another one of our detectives is assigned to investigate complaints generated by the Ohio Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and this unit supports prosecution of offenders disseminating or receiving child sexual abuse materials. They investigate complaints and tips where child pornography is either being saved or shared over the internet. And over the past year, that led to 2 search warrants on homes in Mentor and 34 search warrants for accounts and devices based on IP addresses in our city. Our Detective Bureau also forms our narcotics unit, and together in cooperation with the Lake County narcotics units, investigates drug offenses within our city. In 2025, they seized 5 vehicles and almost $100,000 in cash through some of their arrests. And I think more importantly, 2 defendants last year were sentenced to 38 years in prison for trafficking narcotics in our community that killed 2 of our Mentor residents in 2024. Our police department's overall efforts to get the most dangerous drugs off the street and to prosecute dealers is showing up in another positive way. In 2015, we started our naloxone program. Naloxone is better known as the drug Narcan, and it actually helps to reverse the effects of opioid overdoses, and that was a response to the rash of opioid deaths that started about that time in communities all across the country. And while this continues to be a serious concern in our community, we see a very positive trend steadily decreasing in overdoses in our community. So in 2025, we administered just Narcan to just 3 victims compared to 36 in the year 2020. So our police department has actually saved almost 200 lives by using this drug over the course of the last decade. So I'm going to show you a little bit of video here. It might be a little bit, touch your sensitivities a little bit, but I think it's important for you to understand what our police officers go through and how important using things like this are to our service to the public.
Relax. Relax. They were taking a male into custody for shoplifting. I just heard an overdose. They were going to administer Narcan.
Narcan's just been given. He's semi-conscious, going in and out.
Copy, Narcan's been given in and out of consciousness.
I didn't search him yet. Oh, God.
Did you hurt me?
We aren't hurting you. We're keeping you alive, buddy.
So too many of the victims of drugs that couldn't be saved were in the prime of their youth. Achieving comprehensive public safety must prioritize positive interaction and educational opportunities with our kids. Our police department in 2025 completed its 2nd junior police academy. We had we graduated 40 students. And that gives them a general overall idea of what it's like to be a police officer in our city. Also allows them to become interactive of some of the work that our police department does, and also allows them to engage in some physical training as well. So we do that for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and that program will continue in 2026. Our fire department's public education efforts are also an important tool for teaching basic life-saving skills and fire prevention. Over 3,200 people attended a class or a program presented by our fire education officers in 2025, and those topics included CPR training, fire extinguisher training, as well as programs designed specifically for children at our preschool levels, and of course our ever popular Safety Village for 3rd graders. Our Police Community Service Unit hosted multiple new and innovative programs to reach our high school students. This past year, they partnered with the Mentor High School Fine Arts Department in what became known as the Arts Heist. This was an immersive experience with the class of 2025. The artwork that they created was transformed into a museum-style exhibit. They then staged a heist, and the students got a hands-on look at the investigative techniques that our police officers used to solve the crime. So while we celebrated their artwork, the students got an understanding of how law enforcement approaches a crime scene. They also partnered with iHeartRadio, where our Mentor officers visited both Mentor High School and Lake Catholic High School and passed out golden tickets and to those who were spotted wearing their seatbelts as they arrived to school. And then the golden tickets were entered into an iHeartRadio prize drawing. And this really fostered a lot of positive interactions with our officers and encouraged responsible choices behind the wheel for the students. Our department also co-hosted the Inspire program at Spire Institute in Geneva with several other police agencies. This was a program intended for the students to see and hear the real-life consequences of unsafe decisions made typically during the prom and graduation seasons. They got to the focus was on the dangers of distracted and impaired driving. They simulated funeral and gravesite visits. They heard accounts from family members who had lost loved ones through reckless driving. And they also heard from those who served prison time. So again, the whole goal of that was to help teens make safer choices during those times of the year as they approach the end of their high school term. The upstart American revolutionaries who defeated what was then the greatest military force on earth showed tremendous heroism in their time, and that heroic spirit is renewed in our own city by the actions of our first responders. On July 31st of 2025, Officer Gavin McLean was dispatched to a home for a newborn that was unresponsive and not breathing. And what you're going to see up here is the body cam. It's not the greatest video in the world, but I think you'll get the gist of it. The baby had just been delivered in the home by a midwife, and when Officer McLean got there, the baby was blue, unresponsive, and still attached to the mother via the umbilical cord. Officer McLean started chest compressions immediately while the midwife provided oxygen and attempted suction to clear the airway. Officer McLean remained calm, working with the midwife while also providing updates to our dispatch. Eventually, the baby started breathing on its own and began to cry, and Mentor Fire arrived and took over from there and took care of both the baby and the mother. But Officer McLean's quick action and decisive action helped save that baby's life. And for that, he's been nominated for the Lake County Chiefs of Police Life Saving Award. So give him a round of applause. Seems like Officer McLean is always in the wrong place at the wrong time, because he was involved in another incident when he and Officer Josh Kurtz responded to a mutual aid request from men around the lake. There was a woman there experiencing a mental health crisis that was causing a disturbance in a particular neighborhood. And so that woman actually fled from the Men Around the Lake officers in her vehicle, eventually making her way to Mentor Beach Park, where she got out of the car and jumped into the water. Keep in mind, this is in December. Officer McLean and Currents assisted with rescuing her from the freezing water. They were able to subdue her and kept her from harming herself as she received medical attention. So this is a really good example of never knowing what might be asked of our first responders on any given day. On October 18th of last year at 1 a.m., police officers were dispatched to State Route 2 for a report of a vehicle traveling the wrong way in the westbound lanes of travel just east of State Route 91. Given the time of night and the fact that it was a weekend, Officer Ryan Harum had reason to believe that this was a potential impaired driver. He entered State Route 2 westbound from Center Street and activated his lights and sirens, traveling in the left lane to force other people to the right lane to keep them safe. Officer Harum observed the headlights of the vehicle traveling toward him and estimated the speed at about 60 miles an hour. With his emergency lights activated, Officer Harum remained in the left lane to signal the operator to stop. Of course, that person did not stop or slow down. So Officer Harum moved into the center lane to be able to react to the movement of the violator, but the vehicle made no movement. Ultimately, Officer Harum was forced to maneuver his vehicle in a manner to strike the violator's vehicle in order to disable it. So both vehicles were disabled. Officer Harum sustained injuries from the collision, and the driver, a 97-year-old female, was confused. She was slightly injured, but both recovered just fine afterwards. So with his selfless and quick-thinking action, Officer Harum definitely avoided a potential catastrophic head-on collision with an unsuspecting driver. And he has been nominated for the Jorge Medina Distinguished Service Award, which is one of the most prestigious awards given to a first responder for heroic actions that considered to be of extreme benefit to the community. Our first responders also have a long history of using their unique talents for the benefit of other communities in need. From July 18th through the 28th, working with task force teams in Tennessee, Colorado, New York, and Texas, Fire Lieutenant Kevin Butzko and his search dog Scout responded to the terrible Texas flooding that caused the death of so many kids at Camp Mystic. Lieutenant Butzko and Scout spent several days conducting searches that were only accessible by boat down the Guadalupe River and its tributaries near Center Point in Comfort, Texas, searching debris fields that measured 40 feet in height. And despite the severe heat and conditions, overwhelming conditions, Scout had 3 alerts in different areas that would later be followed up by local dive teams. That same heroism resides in the heart of our people. On February 19th, Lake County resident Matthew Sertain, who was an Uber driver, was finishing up a routine transport in our city when he noticed something unusual and decided not to just pass it by, but I'll let him tell it in his own words here.
There's some breaking news happening overnight. We talked to an Uber driver who saved an older woman from her burning home. The fire started in Menor last night around 10:30. He was dropping off a rider next door when he saw the flames.
Was heading towards my next Uber trip when I saw the flames coming out of the garage. From there, parked my car, started banging on the door, just making sure the resident was able to get out of the household. We managed to get her out, got authorities here to help and contain the fire.
Thank goodness for that man, his courage and quick thinking. That woman is okay. She is safe. This is Dartmoor Avenue. You see some of the smoke coming out from the window there. This is not far from Great Lakes Mall. The fire started in the garage and it quickly spread to the rest of the home. Look at what's left of that car there too. Because of the frigid temperatures too, several neighboring fire departments were called in to help put the fire out. They're still looking into how it started.
Pretty good story. Our safety forces will continue to take advantage of the best available equipment to meet the changing environment in which they work. Most of you will probably remember that in 2024, our police department responded to an active shooter scene at one of the local trailer parks that resulted in multiple homicides. Our police department, following their training, immediately engaged the shooter, placing themselves at great risk despite their personal protective equipment. So we decided to add another option for our officers to utilize in similar situations. So in 2025, City Council purchased an armored vehicle that will help to safely transport and protect our tactical officers to bring these high-risk situations to a close. It will also be able to transport our emergency care providers to a scene, and that's expected to be delivered this summer. Through a Homeland Security grant, our police department was able to purchase a mobile camera trailer. This will provide a remote surveillance system that's mounted on a mast to be used at public events and larger gatherings. It records all of the activity in a particular area and will assist us with investigations and documentations of any incident after the fact. So that'll be a very effective tool at things like our larger events, like our Men Are Rocks and other gatherings. The fire department, in addition to buying 2 new rescue squads this year, put a new water rescue craft into service. This will help them to better handle the situations, rescue situations, both in the city and on Lake Erie. It will also allow for our safer transport of our dime team members and allow us to better assist the Coast Guard in their rescue efforts. In addition to advanced equipment, 2025 saw the commitment to additional safety services that will have a long-term impact. Lake County and the City of Mentor, as well as all Lake County communities, adopted a new 911 plan this past year. It's referred to as Next Generation 911, and that will be fully implemented in our county within the next 5 years. This allows for cell phone calls, text messages, and video to be sent directly to individual community answering points in the county. Currently, all cell phone calls are actually routed through the county central dispatch and then sent to the various jurisdictions. So Next Gen 911 will not only speed up response times, but it'll allow those text messages and videos to be sent when a phone call just can't occur or is less informative. The 2024 East Palestine train derailment reminded many of our communities that we're not immune from that type of disaster. And our fire department trains to respond to train derailments because we have 24 linear miles of track that runs through our community. Many people may not realize, though, that we also have passenger travel that runs through here. Passengers make their way through on Amtrak's Lakeshore Limited and Floridian lines every night. And this year we will send a number of our firefighters to the Transportation Disaster Training Area in College Station, Texas, to learn multiple rescue techniques that are unique to rail disasters. This is a cooperative effort between us and the Norfolk Southern Railway, and they will actually be paying for all the costs associated with that training. Our police department conducted its first ever Citizens Police Academy for adults this year. This was an opportunity for community members to learn about the police department and the services that we deliver to the community. We had 15 participants meet once a week for 7 weeks. They learned about what it takes to be a police officer on topics covering criminal law, road patrol, specialty units, and the use of force in their decision making. They also learned a little bit about our SWAT unit, the bomb squad, canine and criminal lab operations, and they had hands-on experiences with evidence processing, traffic stops. They did ride-alongs with the officers, and they also learned some defensive tactics as well. So the feedback for this was overwhelmingly positive, and we will definitely be starting it up again in 2026. Just a short while ago, you heard Superintendent Heath talk about the expansion of the SRO program in cooperation between the city and the school district. We did add 2 new SROs to the schools this year, and our goal is to add 4 more in 2026, assuming we can find some suitable candidates for that. And I did just want to mention, and I know that this is an unpopular topic because property taxes are not super popular these days, but I do think it's important to point out that no community can be successful without a high-performing schools, and that does take resources to provide that. So while not suggesting how anyone should respond to their levy needs going forward, just something to keep in mind that Of all 37 jurisdictions in Lake County, so the cities, the village, the townships, the city of Mentor has the lowest overall effective property tax rate for residential property in the entire county. That lower overall residential property tax rate is significantly reduced by the enormous value of the city's commercial and industrial property. And maintaining that value is just one benefit from our economic development efforts. So some in this room will remember our last big national birthday, the bicentennial in 1976. At that time, Mentor's economy was driven by a few very large, heavy industrial employers, the likes of W.S. Tyler, Caterpillar, and the George Worthington Company, with a growing retail sector by the Great Lakes Mall. But those thousands of industrial jobs from that era were ultimately lost to worldwide competition, setting Mentor on a path of economic renewal that has led to a diversified collection of high-tech, specialized industry and services that are among the most productive in the state of Ohio 50 years later. So we were very proud this year to be named as a premier life science ready community by the Ohio Life Sciences Association. We're actually one of only 3 cities in Ohio to receive that designation. And the benefit of that is that it highlights Ohio communities with the strongest foundations for biotech and life science growth. So designated communities are promoted statewide, making it easier for companies to know where to invest their dollars in locations that are truly equipped to support growth in the life science industry. The diversity in our economy is fueled as well with the continued success of our international trade initiative. This past year, we welcomed 2 new international companies to our city. Balmoral Tanks, which is a Scottish company with a global presence. They are a leader in water and wastewater storage solutions. They will be producing epoxy-coated steel anaerobic tanks here in about 17,000 square foot facility. They'll start off with about 20 new jobs in our community. And Spazio Plastica is an Italian manufacturer that is a world leader in wire winding products. Their Mentor operation on Hamilton Drive will also be their new U.S. headquarters and the location where they will manufacture wire basket spools and also do some warehousing there. Their initial investment is about $3 million, and they'll start off with 11 jobs and with plans to grow quickly. Our city's outbound trade mission in the spring once again took us to Ireland and the UK, where we made presentations to manufacturing and trade organizations and participated in international business roundtables in Dublin, Drogheda, Galway, Sligo, London, Wrexham, Daresbury, and Liverpool, interacting with over 100 growing businesses interested in the U.S. market. And actually, Mark Owens has joined us here today from Jobs Ohio. He joined us on that trip last year. We appreciate all the efforts that he and his organization helped to make so many of these successes possible. These efforts did lead to inbound visits by 12 companies and organizations throughout the year interested in investment here. One of these, Nomad Counters, is currently testing its first device in North America at our Springbrook Gardens Park. This battery-operated IoT device records and uploads data on visits from pedestrians and vehicles and bikers, and they have announced their intention to establish production in Mentor in 2026. And their CEO, Alan McAdam, visited us just this past summer and gave us some of his thoughts on his experience with Mentor and our staff.
We did consider a number of different locations. So we looked along the East Coast and we looked at a number of estates, and we met with them at the Select USA event in Maryland. I think there was 8 locations we looked at in total. Things that attracted us to Mentor, we're small family-based businesses with very big worldwide ambition. We have a good product and we have something that's infinitely scalable worldwide. We felt that Mentor was a good fit for us and the state of Ohio. In particular, the service you've given your team here in the city of Mentor, it's quite different than anything else we've experienced. The best way to describe it is it's a hand-holding type of exercise. A lot of states that we spoke to or considered, they're really looking for the big businesses, the big employers are going to bring 50 jobs on day one or 100 jobs on day one. Most of the businesses that have the greatest potential won't do that from a start. They will start off from small seeds and they will grow from that organically.
So No Bad Counters is a company from the city of Drogheda, Ireland, and Drogheda has actually expressed an interest in establishing a memorandum of understanding with our city for ongoing bilateral trade and investment. And we've done that with a couple of other European cities to our advantage. Our program also, as part of its educational component, hosted a seminar this past year on navigating and interpreting new tariff policy. And this year, kind of as a complement to that, this April, in cooperation with the Port of Cleveland, we'll be sponsoring a program on foreign trade zones. So of the 7.6 million square feet of commercial real estate in our city, just 6.6% of that remained vacant at the end of 2025, and only 3.8% of the 14 million square feet of industrial space remained vacant. Over 50 new companies chose Mentor as their new place to do business in 2025, and some of those included, some of the restaurants in particular, Stanley's Family Restaurant, that's a husband and wife team known for their breakfast pasta dishes, burgers, and wraps. Mikados Euro is a brother team serving authentic Mediterranean food. Honey Grow is provides wholesome, simple food, stir fries, salads, and honey bars. Senor Masa is the husband and wife team of Javier and Sarah Hernandez, serving authentic Mexican food and pastries. And Sarku Japan made their new home at a standalone location on Mentor Avenue as well. On the commercial end of things, Maple Health began doing business in our city. That's a subscription service, direct primary care provider on Tyler Boulevard. Hartville Golf Carts began doing business on Mentor Avenue at the former Pier 1. They're actually going to be moving to a larger location on Tyler Boulevard relatively soon. The Rogers Company put a 45,000 square foot addition on their location at Tyler Boulevard that will provide warehouse space to allow them to expand their operations. And Hannah's Home, which is a long-standing nonprofit and mentor dedicated to supporting mothers and children in crisis, launched Hannah's Harbor this past year. And that's a thrift store and job skills training program that provides local moms with opportunities to rebuild their lives while regaining meaningful work experience. And that's on Lakeshore Boulevard. This year, the Mentor Heights subdivision finally got started. That's 47 lots on off of Chillicothe Road, and quite a few homes are already underway there. And this year, we just recently broke ground on the YMC Dream House, which will be in Mentor once again. That's on Jackson Street, just across from our city cemetery. In 2026, we're going to see some projects finally getting moving that we've been talking about for a little while. Lynn's Garden Cafe is currently under construction on Mentor Avenue, just west of Center Street. Kearney's Public House, which is an Irish pub and restaurant on Center Street, is also under construction. That's pretty much right across from City Hall. Be a dangerous location for some of you guys, but the Uptown Mentor project finally got its final approvals, and we appreciate all the cooperation with the school district and between the school district and our city council to work that project out. That's a 4-story structure, 73,000 total square feet, 3 floors above. The ground floor will be commercial with 45 residential living units on the upper 3 floors. Sheets will be constructing a new store at the corner of Heisley Road and Hendricks. And the Giant Panda Market and Cafe will be a Korean market and cafe on Mentor Avenue, just in front of the Great Lakes Mall. We'll see Rita's Italian Ice and Custard get started as well on Mentor Avenue for the former Subway near the Best Buy. And the original Pancake House in Points East, where the former Panera was, will start doing business as well. We're excited about Mason Social also taking its location at Points East in the former Melt restaurant. They serve a great selection of beers on tap, signature cocktails, and what they refer to as elevated bar food with live music. And Dick's House of Sport will be building a new 120,000 square foot facility in place of the old Macy's. So Macy's will be torn down. This will also include an outdoor 18,000 square foot athletic field that can be used and rented. It's a two-story experiential retail. We visited the one in Pittsburgh. There's only a few of these in the country right now. And so this will be a great addition and should add some life to the Great Lakes Mall. The former Dick's location will then be open for some other type of occupation. And then on Plaza Boulevard, Fun City Adventure Park will get started this year in the former Giant Eagle grocery store. That'll be a trampoline activities and a bunch of other fun kids activities. And then finally, just because I know there's been a lot of curiosity, we are continuing to work closely with the owner of the former Charles Bolton property at 615 and I-90, as well as the Sears property. Some of you have probably noticed that the Sears building is currently being demolished. And I have nothing to announce for you today, but there's quite a bit of planning going into both those sites. So probably see a lot more activity in the year to come. So the 200th bicentennial year of 1976 was also the year the Mentor Municipal Center was constructed, followed shortly thereafter by Fire Station Number 5 and the Mentor Ice Arena on the same campus. In the full spirit of renewal, 2026 will see a continuation of our most ambitious schedule of new public construction in decades. So in 2025, we saw a lot of activity at the Mentor Marina. Our new building that houses our kayak storage, there's a new concession attached, as well as new restrooms opened up last year. That was a $1.4 million project, finished in early summer. The Mentor Harbor Channel, which connects the Mentor Harbor and our marina with Lake Erie, after nearly 100 years, has finally almost completed its reconstruction. And that's a $6.5 million project, which was paid for predominantly through state capital grants that we received. And it reinforced the walls that I said were over 100 years old. So that channel should be secured for the next 100 years. We also added a new open-air pavilion at the marina. This is a 20 by 40 facility. It's not quite finished. You'll see some decorative bricking around those steel pillars happen yet this spring. But we followed the style that's been established at Springbrook Gardens Park, and that'll be kind of the style that we replicate throughout the city going forward. We also finished the 6th phase of our marina dock wall replacement. We did about another 600 feet last year at a cost of about $750,000. This year we'll be doing a phase 7. We'll replace approximately another 600 feet of dock wall. And again, that's through phase 7. We have about 40 phases associated with that, so got a long way to go, but steady investment really is making a difference there. This year we completed a really exciting project for us. Civic Center Park saw some expansion. We put in a new 158 space parking lot. That'll be super important come Mentor Rocks and some of our ice arena activities, as well as being able to be used by the schools for their programs as well. That also includes a drop-off area that extends back to the pickleball courts. We added 2 new basketball courts as a part of that. And the former single basketball court that was near the children's playground has been converted to 4 new pickleball courts. And then we added 3 more new pickleball courts to the far east end of that cluster of courts. So we were talking about, Patty was talking about pickleball earlier. We now have 22 open courts at the location at Civic Center Park. Our Wildwood Cultural Center had its rear patio and gazebo replaced this year. If you haven't been back there, it's actually pretty dramatic. There's 3,600 square feet, so we'll be able to host some much larger events and outdoor activities there come summertime. And our Blackbrook Golf Course saw its cart storage building completed at a cost of about $800,000. This year, Blackbrook's parking lot will be completely renovated. It's actually under contract, and that contract is going forward now. It's about an $800,000 project. It will be completely redone. We'll add some parking to the area, decorative lighting, and get all of the overhead power lines underground as well. So that should be a nice addition to the golf course as well. Probably our most exciting project is the complete renovation of our Civic Center pool complex. This will be a $10 million project overall. It's a bit of a complex project. We actually have 4 different contractors involved in this. We'll be replacing all of the buildings, and the new buildings will include new locker space, new restrooms, a concession stand that will both serve the pool and the pickleball side of things. There will be a covered eating area, a new guard shack, plenty of new storage, a new and enlarged splash pad, and probably the hallmark of it will be a 42-foot water slide that has 3 separate slides. So we may not have this open by the start of the pool season, but we're hoping to. But when it is open, it's going to be a dramatic change in the community, and I think a place where our kids are really going to have a lot of fun. Back in 2024, the city demolished our pool at Garfield Park, and that will be replaced this year by a $5.7 million, 7,000 square foot spray park that will have 12 to 14 water features, a new welcome entry, shaded seating area for parents. We'll also be constructing a new building there for men's and women's and family restrooms, as well as lockers. There will be an area in the back of that building that's covered for picnicking or just an area to sit in the shade. We're also going to be enlarging the parking lot, which will help out with our farmers market, and the entire area will be fenced in for child safety. So we're really looking forward to that project. This year we will finally be constructing the observation tower at our nature preserve. The view that you're seeing is at 100 feet, so this will be a 100-foot observation tower that looks out over the Menor Marsh. The tower will be just north of the main trailhead. At the top of the tower will be a 25 by 25 foot deck. Will also be ADA accessible. It won't go to the top, but there will be an elevated platform to be able to see for those in wheelchairs. This is a $1.8 million project. $450,000 was provided through a state capital grant, and we expect that to be completed this year. Another one of our big projects is the replacement of Fire Station number 3. So in early 25, City Council purchased just under 3 acres of property at the corner of Plaza Boulevard and State Route 84 for the purpose of building a new fire station. Fire Station number 3 is our busiest station. It's also our oldest station. It was originally, Fire Station 3 is next to Garfield Park. It was originally built in 1965. This will be a $12 million project. 22,000 square feet. It will include 5 bays for our fire apparatus, a training tower, and other areas for training, which will be a great help for us because we won't have to send so many of our people off-site for some of the training that we do now. And we expect that to be out to bid very shortly and to be opening sometime by the second quarter of 2027. Our Wildwood Cultural Center will see an addition to the north end of the main building. This is a $1 million improvement that's intended to provide handicap drop-off and accessible entry there. We'll be including some handicapped accessible restrooms on the interior of the building. There will also be new restrooms available from the exterior, so those trail users and those who are engaged in some of our events there won't have to come into the manor house in order to use the restrooms. They'll be accessible from the exterior. That is in design right now, and we're actually hopeful that will be constructed by the end of the year. And then another large project that we are in design on right now is what we're referring to as our municipal annex. Now this is a building that it'll be about 14,000 square feet, and it won't have a lot of utility for the general public. but this replaces two very old structures that are used by our police department for police vehicle equipment and evidence storage and processing. This will also incorporate a record storage area for the city in general, as well as very necessary storage for our recreation department. But the part that will matter to the public is we will be incorporating a bank of 10 new additional restrooms to be used by our Men of Rocks crowd and the others that take part in activities on those grounds as well. So we expect those restrooms in this building to be completed by the Men of Rocks season in 2027. In that same spirit of renewal, we continue to focus on our basic planning and infrastructure needs. This year, the city will complete a comprehensive master plan update. It's been 20 years since we last updated our master plan, and this will take into consideration a lot of resident input we received from public engagement sessions over the last year, input from our strategic steering committee. It looks at land use development trends both locally and nationally, as well as some of our own transportation and housing needs that have been identified, as well as changing economic trends. And this will help guide our decision making over the next 20 years. And it's very timely because our county commissioners are also in the process of updating the county's comprehensive plan. So that will tie in nicely in terms of trying to determine some of the future county and city activities. In 2025, the city invested nearly $8 million in road and stormwater improvements on about 40 streets around the city. Some of those major improvements included Cannon Ridge Road, Hoos Road, Mercantile, Corduroy, and Lakeshore Roads. In 2026, we'll invest nearly $13 million in a combination of about 30 streets and targeted traffic control improvement. So we'll be putting about twice the dollars that we normally allocate to our neighborhood streets this year. But also we'll be resurfacing a portion of Menor Avenue from the East Corp limit to just west of Hopkins Road. We'll be, in the next 2 years beyond that, we'll be completing Menor Avenue in 2 phases. We're also going to be replacing traffic signals at 3 important intersections, State Route 306 at 84, 306 in Industrial Park Boulevard, as well as State Route 84 and Garfield Road. One of the biggest improvements that I think we're looking forward to next year is a traffic signal control technology upgrade. So the city received $2.5 million through a federal CMAQ grant, which is intended to lower vehicle emissions. So we'll use that money toward a $4 million project that will improve traffic flow at 29 separate intersections on Menor Avenue, Center Street, 306, and 84. So it'll provide better communications between the signals, better vehicle detection, and emergency vehicle preemption. So what does that mean for you? It means you should move along a little bit more efficiently on our main corridors when those projects are completed. City also received $3 million in an ODOT grant for design and environmental review. I mentioned this project last year. This will ultimately make improvements to the interchange at State Route 615 and I-90. Ultimately, that bridge will be widened to 4 lanes, and we'll see capacity improvements at both the inbound and outbound ramps. Ultimately, that'll be a $15 million project, and I know our city engineer sitting in front of me here is planning on getting some significant grant dollars to make that happen moving forward. And that's an important project for us because there's a lot of activity planned for development in that general corridor that we see, which is another one of the reasons why we chose Plaza Boulevard and State Route 84 as a location for our new fire station, because that is our busiest station, and most of our construction is moving to that southern portion of the city. We also were pleased this year to see our Nature Preserve Shoreline Protection Project rejuvenated. We just got word that we received a $1.75 million congressional appropriation to help move that forward. And we want to thank Congressman Joyce. I see Katie Berger is here with us today, so if you would pass it on to the Congressman, Katie. We appreciate his work to get that done, and that will get us the next steps toward preliminary design on that project. ODOT will also be active in our community this year. They will be resurfacing a portion of State Route 2 between Munson Road and State Route 84. And they'll also be replacing the Lakeshore Road bridge deck over State Route 44. That's a little over a $3 million project that'll include 3-foot high decorative parapet walls as well as fencing, so it'll look very similar to some of the bridge projects that the city has completed in recent years. And I'm glad to be able to report to you that we are able to make nearly all of these improvements happen without issuing debt because the city's financial health remains solid. We've also been extraordinarily successful in bringing outside funding sources to supplement our capital projects. Just with the projects that I've mentioned here today from 2025 and 2026, the city has over $14 million in committed grant funding from outside sources. I'm also proud to say that our city continues to be recognized for its achievements. So this year, U.S. News & World Report ranked Mentor as the #1 best place to live in Ohio for 2025 and 26. And we're also among the 250 best places to live in the country. And that's based on quality of life, amenities, safety of the community, our economy, the environment, and affordability. A few other factors, but we're really proud of that designation. Our Ohio State auditors presented our city once again with the Auditor's Award with Distinction for the 11th year in a row. This is based on our comprehensive financial reports that we submit every year. This is the highest achievement possible for a public agency, and it's a reflection of our clean and accountable and transparent reporting of government spending. And I also want to introduce to you our finance director, Matt Ragonchek. Stand up, Matt, you gotta stand up. He joined us. He joined us in 2025, replacing Dave Malinowski, who retired from the city. Also, this has been a great year for Lake Catholic High School, and I didn't want to go without mentioning them. 2025 was an incredible year for their athletic programs. They had 4 state championships. Danny Zmorowski, if I'm saying that correctly, was the Division III individual wrestling champ at 215 pounds. Their boys swim team was the Division II 200-meter relay champions, and that's the first title of any Lake County high school in our history. Their girls volleyball team continued their domination. They had a 4-peat this year in Division V. They were state champions for the 4th year in a row. And the boys baseball team, of course, won their first Division IV state title. So great things happening over there. So these achievements bring much attention to our city, but we continue to look for other ways to bring attention to all the great experiences and opportunities we have in our city to offer. Our city has over 175,000 combined followers on a variety of social media platforms, including having the largest number of followers on X, formerly Twitter, among accounts tied to Lake County. So this is a great way for us to stay connected to the community and giving us the ability to get our message out quickly and effectively. Our Public Information Office also broadcasts nearly 100 programs from live city events and original programming produced in 2025. And some of you may know what the Buckeye Trail is, but for those of you who don't, it's a long-distance hiking trail that forms a loop stretching more than 1,400 miles around Ohio. And it connects cities and small towns and farmlands and forests and other landmarks and riverways throughout the state of Ohio. And the city of Mentor was successful this year in getting a portion of that northern segment to reroute through the Mentor Marsh, our Lagoons Nature Preserve, Civic Center Park, the Old Village District, and our Wildwood Cultural Center. So that's just going to bring a lot more visitors through some of our community's favorite spots. This year, we're also going to be entering into a memorandum of understanding with the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. They're going to be conducting a master plan for the Menor Marsh, and the goal of this is to expand opportunities for access to the marsh so that our residents can interact with its unique and natural assets. We're also doing that in cooperation with the county commissioners. This is an area that currently brings a lot of birders from all over the country, and many of you know about that already, but I find it interesting that, you wonder how much of an impact it actually has, but according to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, 4.1 million adults participate in wildlife viewing in Ohio, and that generates over $1.6 billion in spending annually. So the more people we can bring to our community, the more successful many of you will be going forward. This year, the city recently launched the Mentor History Trail webpage. This highlights 15 landmarks, and that number will certainly grow within the city. It tells stories about pioneers and industrialists and local heroes who helped shape our city into what it is today. And participating locations and property owners can place this QR code that's on the screen on the premises and link directly to our History Trail webpage. In cooperation with Aqua Ohio, they very graciously allowed us to put the Men of Rocks logo on their water tower on Reynolds Road facing south. And this has received a tremendous amount of feedback from our residents, positive feedback from our residents, who I think understood that Men of Rocks is not just the name of a summer concert series, but it's an inference that the city of Menor is a cool place where things are on the move. So these efforts and all the public and private points of interest in our city have a huge impact on visitation. As these next few slides show, 31 million people visited our community in 2025. Nearly 1 million of those were here for tourism. And the last slide shows that they came from all 50 states and the District of Columbia. So a lot of interest in what we have both here in our city and throughout the county. And so it makes these efforts worthwhile. One unexpected bit of attention that we received this year was a 4-part historical drama series that was put on by Netflix called Death by Lightning. This was based on events leading up to President Garfield's nomination and election to the presidency, as well as his subsequent assassination by Charles Guiteau. It was based on the book Destiny of the Republic by author Candace Millard. And just prior to the release of that series, Tim Garfield, who is the executive director of the Garfield Trail of Ohio and the great-great-grandson of President Garfield, organized a private screening and panel discussion at Hiram College that included Candace Millard, the author, the director of the series, Matt Ross, and the former site manager and historian at Garfield's home here in Mentor, Todd Arrington. And Mr. Tim Garfield is with us here today, so let's give him a shout out as well. And we are definitely appreciative of his efforts to raise the profile of President Garfield and our city in the process. President Garfield is so much a part of our history and of the history of our country that we thought it appropriate to further memorialize him as part of our city's celebration of the nation's 250th anniversary this July. So City Council has commissioned a bronze statue of President Garfield, which will be placed in front of Menor City Hall. And the sculptor is a man named Alan Cottrell, who is also from Ohio. And he has a worldwide reputation. He's done hundreds of sculptures, including one of the 2 sculptures that sits in Statuary Hall in the U.S. Capitol, at the U.S. Capitol. We'll be unveiling the statue on July 3rd as part of a community type of picnic celebrating the nation's birthday. We've got several other events planned for our 250th celebration. Of course, on Independence Day, we will have our normal July 4th musical concert, but we're also planning on having the city's largest ever fireworks display. And in addition to the resources that City Council has committed, we're actually looking for a sponsor for the fireworks. So if you're interested, come see Ante Lagorsic afterward. And as another part of our America 250 celebration, we will be honoring 7 known Revolutionary War members who either lived in what became Mentor or are buried in our cemetery. So City Council will designate a day in their honor on their birthdays in acknowledgement of their contributions to the Continental Army. And we will also be adding a permanent memorial monument to the cemetery memorial promenade with their names upon it. We'll also be, while not part of the America 250 celebration, we will also be having a project to place a new Veterans Columbaria Memorial Walkway at our city cemetery. So this walkway will have 672 niches for cremations in 14 separate columbaria that'll be exclusively for the use by veterans and their families. There'll be a dedicated walkway and some memorial imprinted on that walkway, and some seating there for reflection as well. So we expect that to be dedicated on Veterans Day this year. There is no better fuel for renewal than an active community, and Mentor resident participation in our community events and programs and gatherings continues to rise every single year. Our Mentor Community Rec Center now has 3,600 memberships and 6,800 members. They had 277,000 visits in 2025, which is a 15% increase. They actually put on 12,000 separate fitness classes there this past year. So we invested about $800,000 in that facility this year. Most of that was just kind of keeping up and with some of the renovations that are ongoing there. But we also added an additional basketball court and some new soccer netting there if you've had a chance to participate. Blackbrook Golf Course had 37,000 rounds in 2025. And over 90% of the people who commented on Golf Now recommended our golf course. The News Herald Reader's Choice Award was also awarded to Blackbrook as the best of the best in the golf course category this year. That's the 5th time that we've received that award. And our senior center had 80,000 visits in 2025, and 112,000 seniors participated in over 6,700 programs offered there. One new program that we started this year was called Operation Snowlift, and in cooperation with the Lake County Council on Aging, we were able to assist seniors who have limited income with vouchers for snow removal during the winter season, and this was probably a good year to do that, indeed. Crucially important when we think about nourishing community renewal is offering our youngest children positive opportunities to stay active, to learn and adopt important life skills. So our summer camps in 2025 had 1,500 kids enjoy collectively over 3,500 weeks of camp activities. We had everything from the 9-week day camp to camps for boating, cooking, extreme science, eco-science, theater, art, golf, soccer, basketball, tennis, volleyball, chess, cheerleading, and we even had a camp on how to be a superhero. So those programs are so important to our youth. Our Learn to Swim program, which was actually suspended for a couple of years due to COVID, and our inability to find and train instructors, has started back up in 2023 and has just expanded hugely. This past year, we offered nearly 100 classes. We also had 463 group swim lessons with over 2,000 participants. That was an 84% increase over the prior year. And our Learn to Skate program now had 450 kids participate in 2025. That still remains the 2nd largest program of its type in the state of Ohio. And we're also very proud at our ice arena this year to host the USA Hockey Girls National Championship. So 28 teams from all over across the country came and participated in that event this year. And that's the third time that event has been held at our ice arena. So if you consider some of our larger events as well are bringing very large crowds. So if you consider the combined attendance of our car cruise, our farmers market, the hay rides at Wildwood, our 4th of July celebration, City Fest, Tunes at the Lagoons, our Chill Out in Menor Rocks, almost 200,000 people participated in our larger events in 2025. So of course, a big chunk of that is happening at the amphitheater, and I know many people are always anxious to just hear about what we have cooking at Menor Rocks this year. But I'm happy to say that the amphitheater is actually going to be starting its 10th season. And last year we had our 100th show happen there, and it was anchored by probably our best Menor Rocks series so far with 4 national acts. We'll have 3 national acts this year. And first of all, I'm pleased to announce that Ganley Kia of Mentor has signed on as our title sponsor for Menor Rocks for the next 3 seasons through 2028. So we really appreciate them and all of our sponsors for their generous support, because as I remind our residents, not a penny of your general fund dollars goes into the entertainment that happens out there. It's entirely results from our sponsorship, which pays for the bulk of it, as well as sales from our alcohol at the events and from the food vendors as well. So, are you ready for our Menor Rocks schedule for this year? So in June, I'm happy to say that 10 of the 14 acts this year will be first-time performers at the amphitheater. So in June, we'll kick off our season on the 2nd with Forever Seeger, which is a Bob Seger tribute. On the 9th, we'll have a twofer, both a Tennessee Whiskey and Ultimate Church is the name of the bands. These are Chris Stapleton and Eric Church tributes. On the 16th, we'll have Fleetwood Gold, which is a Fleetwood Mac tribute. On the 23rd, we'll host Crazy Train, which is a Ozzy Osbourne tribute. On the 30th, we'll have our first national act. Philip Phillips will be joining us here in Mentor. We're excited about that. In July, on the 4th of July, we'll have Hotel California, which is an Eagles tribute. We thought that would be good patriotic music as well. On the 7th of July, New World Men, which is a Rush tribute. And on the 14th, we've been trying to get these guys for a long time. Night Ranger is going to be our second national act. On the 21st, we'll have the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is a Red Hot Chili Peppers tribute. On the 28th, again, 2 new bands, Creep and Hollow, which is 2 bands performing that night. It will be a Stone Temple Pilots and Alice in Chains tribute. In August, we will have on the 4th, REO Survivor, which is obviously a tribute to the songs of those 2 bands. On August 11th, it's to be announced. So we actually have one of country music's hottest young artists. He's already had multiple platinum singles and songs that have been streamed over 1 billion times online, but we can't announce it yet because of our current contract arrangements. So keep a lookout for that coming soon. On City Fest this year, on the 14th, that Friday, we will bring back Just Like Pink, which is a Pink tribute. On the 15th, that's City Fest Saturday, we will have 7 Summers, which is a Morgan Wallen tribute. And then continuing with Mentor Rocks on the 18th, ABBA Revisited, which is an ABBA tribute. And we will close out our season with our old friends from Escape, who will be our Journey tribute closing out the season. So, in conclusion, as we begin the America 250 celebration, we can be confident that the state of our city is strong. But as Jefferson foresaw, the same spirit that inspired the actions of a rogue group of colonists to take on and defeat the most powerful nation in the world requires renewal through the generations. The same is true for the communities we Americans call home. Let's remember the spirit of 76 and see just how far our city can flourish in our nation's next quarter millennium. And I put that last image up there because to me that picture tells you our nation has gotten a pretty good start at celebrating our next quarter century. So that's all I have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions.